What is going on, everybody? Blessing your Tuesday with another quick training. I'm here with my guy, Gabe Ericson, and today we're going to be going over how to properly go through the financial inventory and how to properly underwrite.
Dude, that's right, man. I think if there's one tool for an agent that is underutilized more than anything else, it probably is the financial inventory. Because my favorite sales principle is people don't change their minds. They make new decisions based off new information.
Yes.
And when you're going through the financial inventory with a client, there's so many opportunities to highlight things that is obvious to the agent because they go through it every single day that isn't obvious to the client. Because I mean, dude, they say that less than 5% of people have a actual budget that they follow on a monthly basis. If less than 5% of people know what their monthly budget is, how many people do you think know what's going to happen when they pass away with the financial situation of their loved ones?
Almost nobody.
It's going to be like almost nobody.
Well, in the morning sales training this morning, you said, raise your hand if you've got a set budget. You know exactly how much is coming in and what's going out every month. Nobody raised their hand.
Yeah. And I do that on new agents coming in. I do that almost every week. And almost always it's a solid 5%. Mm-hmm. And I think the handful of times it wasn't, you can kind of see in the faces they're not telling the truth. So,
Can
dude,
I half phrase it?
Yeah, dude. So going over that survivorship, I mean, how many times does an agent talk to a client and maybe they ask them a question like this, Jonah? They say, Bob, if you passed away, what would things look like for Mary? And Bob's like, she'd be fine.
Yep.
You'd figure it out.
Yep.
And why is that? It almost gets like defensive. Now there's a wall there. Mm-hmm. When a so much better way to do it would be going through that financial inventory, seeing that Bob brings home $8K, Mary doesn't bring home anything. Maybe they have 3 or 4 kids. She takes care of them full time. They've got 15 grand in the bank account, so less than 2 months of what Bob brings home, and no life insurance. And so a better way to do that would be, Bob, you're bringing in a really healthy income. You're taking care of the whole household. You're doing a phenomenal job. When you pass away, Mary's going to lose $8,000 a month, 96 grand a year. The mortgage is $3,000. We only have 15 grand in the bank. Are we missing anything? Is there anything else she would get? And he's like, well, no. I was like, man, that's no good. Was that the reason you were looking at this coverage? Completely different reaction.
Assumptive question asking.
Because you painted the picture for him. You didn't ask him to paint the picture. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think we were guilty of being lazy salespeople. We want the client to paint the picture for us. But dude, the reason that person filled out a lead is because they knew they needed something, but they didn't know exactly what that is. And going through the financial inventory, it's like a canvas for the agent to paint a picture that not only he sees, but dude, just as important that the client sees. Because it's just as important that the client knows that I know their situation, that I understand what they want, where they're coming from, as it is that I do.
Absolutely. The analogy I always like to talk about is, I read a study a while back, and they looked at 100 different industries, and they looked at the top sales rep in each company, each industry. They took 100 and they randomized it. And what they all had in common was they didn't build the best rapport with the client. They didn't have the best pitch. It was they spent the majority of the appointment asking intentional questions. Mm-hmm. And the pitch was less than 5% of it.
Yeah.
But the pitch was so tailored to their specific needs and how you can solve their problem, their situation. That's why they're such a good closer.
Right.
And it's like, as a kid in my mind, I was like, I'd think of before I even really knew what sales was, I was thinking of sales of like, oh, this elaborate presentation and, these fancy charts and graphs and, really wowing the client. But that's not at all what being good sales is. Being a good salesman is asking intentional questions and listening.
There is a study done among waiters and waitresses. It's actually a really interesting, and actually, if you ever look it up, it's really funny. It's almost comical because they wanted to know what is the best waiter or waitress in the eyes of the customer. Like what means more than anything. And dude, the things that they tested with are funny. More attractive, the way they were dressed, compliments, touching people on the shoulder. And dude, the best reaction they got, the person, and the way they were quantifying this is in the tips that people got. Mm-hmm. And so the best reaction that they got was normal waiter or waitress, didn't matter how they were dressed, didn't matter how they looked, but that whenever a client or a customer came in and told them what the order was, the waiter or waitress just repeated exactly what it was back to the client. And they got the biggest tips.
People just want to feel understood.
They want to know that you know. And so going back to the financial inventory, take every single place in that financial inventory to fully understand the client situation, dude. Everything from the health questions. Once you start learning words like amlodipine, lisinopril, hydrochlorothiazide, when a client doesn't know, like, I take a high blood pressure med, lisinopril, amlodipine. Oh yeah, that's the one. You're building confidence in them that you know what you're talking about. When you see, there's going to be a loss of income, like we just talked about with Bob and Mary, talk about that. When the client doesn't know what they're getting from, VA or pension or Social Security, you talk about that. And then wrapping it all up at the end, making sure like, hey, this is why you're looking for this coverage, and not making it your opinion, but being a team. Like, Jonah, the way it's looking, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this.
You're not saying what I see
or
what it looks like to me. You're saying the way it's looking. Looking at, this is what we're analyzing. You're just using track words like that is huge.
Dude, that's huge for clients. If agents do just start filling out that financial inventory well, I really feel like this is going to be a strong statement I'm about to make. But I would almost rather that an agent, be a little clunky on their word tracks, or, not, maybe not always have the right tone. But if the client knows that they know their situation and understands like the person is capable, knows what they're talking about, they're going to do business with that person. If an agent has all those together, dude, tone, pacing, they do the financial inventory well, dude, success becomes so predictable, it's not even funny.
Man, I agree. What a good note to end on. Guys, if you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with someone else that would take value from this. Have a blessed week.